When we think of veteran mental health, we often fail to recognize the most immediate and crucial support system, and that's their loved ones. And their loved ones not only have to carry their own individual weight, but they're forced to take on the weight of their veteran and carry it as well. I can't imagine how someone manages helping their loved one through crisis while being in a state of crisis themselves. But I know someone who did not just that, but they managed to use their experiences to help others and at the same time maintain their self-identity. Please join me in inviting to the stage one of the strongest people I know, Shawn Moore.
I met my husband in the spring of 2013. At the time, I was a police officer, having graduated the academy 7 years prior, at the ripe age of 35. I didn't grow up wanting to be a police officer. It was a way to support my daughters and I. I was so green and trusted everyone. My fellow officers would tease me by getting on the radio and asking if anyone was driving the patrol car because I was so short. I had never shot a gun before or been in a fight prior to the academy. To this day, I cannot believe I made it through. Looking back, this was all his plan. Being a police officer changed something in me. That sense of responsibility never goes away. Protecting the thin blue line is something that is ingrained in me. I am thankful to have had that, as I don't think that I would have made it through that fateful day on August 9th in 2017. Bryan, my husband, was medically retired from the Army after 23 years and 7 deployments to Afghanistan. Our first date went something like this. Bryan said he had PTSD, was a recovering alcoholic, and lived with his parents. I thought to myself, no problem, I can fix all that. 6 weeks later, I found myself trying to talk him out of a flashback. He was in a closet, searching for his gear. He thought he was being deployed. I quickly learned that I had no idea how to fix it. I found myself putting my police officer hat on. It was easier to compartmentalize and figure out what to do, which, of course, still didn't fix the issue. The first year of dating, he ended up in a 7-week-long program for PTSD. We figured out that both our issues, mine from being attacked by a dog on duty, and his from combat, were triggering each other. We split up, and both of us started therapy. Several months later, we got back together, vowing to stand by each other, and we got married in August of 2015. 2 years later, almost to the day, I experienced the worst day of my life. On August 9th, 2017, I woke up like any other day. I took a shower, and as I got ready for work, I talked to my husband about the nonprofit we were starting, Caregivers on the Homefront. I was excited not only for that day when our family would be going on a retreat for military families. I got to work, only to work for a few hours, because you see, I'm a mom too, and my youngest has some really high social anxiety. I had to take her to meet her new teacher since we were going to be gone that next week. As I left work, I texted my husband, only to get no answer back. So I called him. No answer, which was really odd. To this day, I can still remember how the sun felt on my face through the windshield of my car and the exact place I was on I-35 North when I got this horrible gut feeling that today was not going to end well and that my husband was in trouble. I took care of my mom duties at the school, checked my phone for a call or message from my husband, and when I didn't see it, I went into police officer mode. I told my older daughter to take the youngest home because I needed to find Bryan. Looking back, I have no idea how unconsciously I knew that he wasn't home. What I do know is that it felt like I would be looking for a needle in a haystack. Then I remembered that I had set up our cell phone service to be able to track my kids, and that his phone was on it as well. When I pulled up his location, it solidified what I already knew. My husband was in a bad place mentally. He was on a dead-end road with nothing around him and no reason to be there. As I drove to that location, I texted one of my friends who repeatedly told me I shouldn't go by myself. I told her I was used to responding to calls like this. She pointed out that I did not respond to calls daily that involved my family. I reached out to a fellow police officer, friend, and veteran who I knew. With no questions asked, he said he would meet me. As I got closer to the dead-end road, it was eerily similar to the scenes I had been on. I noticed my husband's truck at the end of the dead-end road. It was facing me. The door was open. My brain jumped back in time to what that picture has meant in the past, a self-inflicted gunshot wound. I jumped out of my car. My friend was on the phone with the police. I hit my knees, screaming, "No! No!" I thought for a moment in time my husband of not even 2 years was gone. But my friend was yelling at me, and it finally registered that he was saying he was alive and down there. Down there was near a creek with a bridge over it. I ran through the tangled web of bushes with thorns up to my chest. I saw my husband sitting on the bank, his feet still in the water, his shirt off, looking dazed. I got in front of him, my own feet hitting the spring-fed creek. I can still feel how the cold water was on my feet to this day. Another one of my friends was standing in the creek as well. I looked around, as that is what all good officers do, assess the scene. My husband's green shirt was in the water. So too was a blue tie-down strap. I looked up, and it hit me what happened. I mouthed the words to my fellow officer, and he confirmed what I thought was true. I spoke with my husband, who asked me where he was. He had no recollection of what had happened. I hear sirens. The cavalry is coming. We walked him up to the road, and suddenly fire, EMS, and police were running towards him. It freaked the fuck out of my husband. I shouted to them, "Stop! You're scaring him. He's not a threat to you. Please. He's a veteran with PTSD." Maybe it was good that I was an officer, because they listened. It was like the moment stood still.
When the best of me is barely breathing, somebody I believe in. Hold on to me when I miss the light the night has stolen. When I'm slamming all the doors you've opened, hold on to me. Hold on to me. Hold on to me when it's too dark to see you. When I am sure I have reached the end. Hold on to me when I forget I need you. When I let go, hold on to me again.
There are God moments in times like these, if you look and pay attention. My husband didn't want to get into the ambulance, yet the EMT came up to him and looked him in the eyes and said, "Bryan, it's Marshall." I thought it was some BS code word from the military, which didn't seem like it fit the situation. I quickly realized that this person knew my husband. He walked with him to the ambulance. After answering some questions from the police, I went to the ambulance, which by then smelt like a brewery. My husband had been drinking, something he hadn't done in 3 years. Yet he didn't remember drinking. I asked Marshall how he knew my husband, and he quietly said, "North Oak Group." Come to find out, this wasn't his route. His route was more than 45 minutes away. He was filling in for a colleague. He had never worked that route before. God, I see you. I rode in the ambulance to the VA ER with Bryan. We were dropped off, and I don't know it was because I was an officer, but no one gave a report to the doctor. I had to call my friend back to get more details, which he didn't want to give to me. He was trying to protect me. But my husband was complaining about neck pain. The doctors didn't realize that when my friends got to Bryan, he wasn't breathing. That's why his shirt was off. That's why he didn't remember anything. We got to him just in time. I, his wife, had to explain all this to the doctors and Bryan himself and my kids and Bryan's mom. What must my kids be thinking when someone else brought both our cars home? How would I explain this to them? There were no words of wisdom to come. There was no one at my work or providers reaching out to me to make sure we, the family, were okay. I felt so alone in those moments. We were left with the aftermath, walking on eggshells with the incredible burden of making sure our veteran stayed alive. For 3 months afterwards, I didn't leave the house. I didn't go back to work for 3 months, scared that if I did, he would attempt again. I didn't want him to leave the house, scared that if he did, he wouldn't come back. The one thing that I did have, family caregivers. I owe them my life. We must know who our people are. I am so grateful that I went ahead and started back to college on that day. I didn't think that the following Monday I would be able to do so, but I needed that for me. I made it my mission to change systems, bring mental health and wellness programs to others in similar situations, to make sure our family members are seen as well, to make sure our community and providers understand they must reach out to family members as their mental health is at risk. This is generational trauma. That mission is behind all we do at Caregivers on the Homefront.
When I don't feel like I'm worth defending, when I'm tired of all my pretending, hold on to me. When I start to break in desperation underneath the weight of expectations, hold on to me. Hold on to me. Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. When I am sure I have reached the end. Hold on to me when I forget I need you. When I let go, hold on to me again. I could rest here in your arms forever, 'cause I know nobody loves me better. Hold on to me. Hold on to me.
Our veterans do not heal in a vacuum, and their first community is their family. Through my work at Caregivers on the Homefront and the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, I have found meaning and purpose in the aftermath of the day that changed my life forever. We still have a long way to go, but each of you can help move the needle to be inclusive in supporting the entire veteran family. We are the first line of defense, yet we must have the support to heal.